always have trouble finding it, just to see if anybody in the chat.
Yeah. Oh, well. Okay. Welcome to Mori episode 4. We're here with Montec and Qball. Say hi.
Hello, everyone.
Hi,
Hello.
how's everybody doing?
Yes.
So, Montec, let's start off with you. You said you found something new? Or something else,
Well,
should we say?
I wouldn't say like found something new, but like I'm constantly like on the search for all types of anime mysteries, for example, right? Like one of the most famous examples of anime mysteries is Saki Sonobashi, of course. Like the famous gore scene from an anime, which doesn't exist. But there are so many more mysteries which might actually be real instead of like like a forum, how should I say, a forum myth that was created, but not many people pay attention to those. And for me, the thing that I got really interested about is like anime music mysteries, because a lot of people might not even realize how many music videos have been lost to time. I'm not even talking about just anime music videos, but like music videos in general. And
Mm-hmm.
it's from the time of MTV, from the early 90s to early 2000s. And we have passed this period of time where they have been made so often. And not a lot of people paid attention to those. They came out, they thought they were cool, and they kind of got lost to time. And the only way to rediscover them is through old VHS. So it's like an interesting mystery and this type of like a almost vaporwave aesthetic to it. So that's why I enjoy it so much.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And we were on the mystery of a brand new day, and that whole rabbit hole on how can be such a high quality music video be lost or not, or well, not lost. I mean, just not archived anywhere else, or just not mentioned anywhere else. Just it was finished, but nowhere broadcast or whatnot.
Yeah, so there is this music video made by Studio 4C. Like Studio 4C by itself is quite famous for their incredibly high quality animation and very experimental works.
Mm.
And they used to specialize, like not specialize, but they used to make a lot of music videos in the past, which many people might not realize. And one day I was browsing through Wikipedia and just like looking at their works, maybe I missed something. And there was something that I missed. It was written as Brand New Day, a music video, with band written as Unknown. So no one knows who this band is. It's kind of lost media, but it's lost media in a completely like opposite way, because you can view it on the internet. It's there, but no one knows its origins. Like no one knows the band. Uh, the animation quality is a mystery how it appeared on the internet. It just appeared one day on YouTube in 2006, and no one knows why, how, because it shows it's been made in 2001, but it was never aired on TV. So it's like a
Yeah.
really bizarre type of thing. Like it exists when it shouldn't exist.
Yeah. And in the inside, there's also a making of, literally sped up of how they made the whole thing, too, by all the makers.
Yeah, in the video itself, there's like, if I'm not mistaken, like a 6 or 12 second small montage of fast-moving photos. And in those photos, if you like slow down and look frame by frame, you can see how it's being made, like how it's being drawn, people involved in it, like locations, and some weird concept art. But the video quality itself is in such a disrepair and such compressed quality that you cannot really read what's in the video. So it's really frustrating.
Yeah. And I mean, last time you had any update on it, you asked a French journalist in the anime manga scene that that he asked someone of the staff members of 4C, said was surprised that the thing was finished and that maybe somebody leaked it on the internet just to have its way with it, because it couldn't be online. So, well, no, it couldn't be on TV. So you wanted to have it somewhere online. Was
Well,
basically the story of that. Or
the person I contacted is a French journalist who specializes in animation. His website is called Katsuka, and I contacted him by email asking about this music video because he had the biggest interest I could find online. Like he was probably the most knowledgeable about it, and
mm,
he previously has contacted Studio 4C about it, and well, the person who replied to him, like, he didn't want to get his name disclosed, but what he said was that, yeah, he was surprised to see it's managed to leak in such a finished state online because he didn't even think the project was finished.
mm,
And yeah, but like that's all I know. I don't know why it was canceled, or was it canceled, or what happened. It's
mm.
really weird, and there's still like the band who made it. It's still a mystery, maybe.
Yeah. He tried with AI to find it, but came to no real conclusions on that. And beyond that, it just kind of stagnated after that. You have the whole list you made on everything that you found on it, and just the whole archive you
Yeah.
made yourself, basically.
So yeah, should I go into like my research process, like what I went into?
Sure. I mean, make it not too difficult, maybe, but sure.
Yeah, it's like so I did basically everything except physically going to Japan and visiting Studio 4C, like the actual location.
Yeah.
But so I found the video, right? The link. Managed to
Mm,
dig through Katsuka, the French website.
yeah.
So internet didn't offer many like answers. I tried to go through forums. Like one was like really obscure forum. Like it was, I think it was in French, and it had such a broken interface, and I could only access it through Internet Explorer. And
Mm,
apparently there was like only a cached preview of the discussion going on about this video available, so that didn't get me far. I found re-uploads on YouTube. I found even re-uploads on Chinese Bilibili, I think TV it's called. I
mm,
managed to find a Nico TV, a re-upload, but all of them pointed to this one upload from 2006 by this random YouTube user. And the sad thing about it is that video doesn't even exist anymore. I
mm,
don't know the user's name of that
mm,
video. I don't know how the original video even looked like. I only saw re-uploads of it.
mm,
So it's kind of sad that the source itself doesn't survive. I tried going through all kinds of archives to try to dig out maybe a cached website, a YouTube like preview or something, but no
yeah.
luck. Yeah. So what happened then? Uh, of course, I have the video, right? So I dig
Yeah.
through
You
all
made
the
an
videos.
upscale of it,
The upscale
of
came later
brand new day.
after I realized I cannot find anything better. So
Mm,
I gathered all of the videos available on the internet, downloaded in all ways possible. Uh, what I found surprising that some of them had better audio than, for example, the French website had.
mm,
Some of them had higher resolution, but apparently that was just YouTube upscaling or something. So, so I gathered all of that, and of course, I went through all possible combinations of brand new day. Like maybe there is like a mention on Wikipedia or something more. No, no dice. I went through all the websites that had to do with music and the name Brand New Day. And it was really frustrating because there's already a song. I think it's by the famous singer Sting, and he had
Mm.
"Brand New Day" song released in 1999, and it's like
Oh,
frustratingly very close to the original source, right? And like I
yeah, yeah,
constantly
yeah,
got bombarded by his videos. So
yeah, yeah.
text search didn't lead to much anywhere.
Mm.
So I started going by image search. So I extracted frames from this music video, and
Mm.
used Google image search. That didn't lead me anywhere. Tried TinEye, all types of web services.
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
only one who managed to give me a result which was like resembling something was surprisingly Yandex. Currently,
Yandex, yeah, I use it also often for obscure stuff. They have a lot.
yeah, so I think it's like a Russian search engine, and it's
Yeah.
surprisingly really good at face recognition, which is really worrying. But for my cause, it was good. And yeah, so but the only lead I managed to dig out was by going through archived, like there's like Google Books. So Google
Mm.
Books is an archive of many books and some magazines.
Yeah.
And I went through it and managed to find an old, well, yeah, by today's standards, it's old, from 2011, a magazine written in Russian, a Russian anime magazine.
Okay.
And it had like this small section dedicated for Brand New Day. I was like,
Oh.
holy shit, finally something new. And yeah, I had to like manually translate every single letter from the Russian alphabet to like
Oh
Latin, so like
boy.
Google translate something. Uh, and in that magazine, there was the band's name mentioned,
Hmm.
but the band's name that was mentioned, it's called Proto, so Proto,
So
and
Russian.
I'm not sure because proto can mean many things. A
Hmm.
prototype, maybe a stand-in for a name, but it
Yeah.
was written in a Latin alphabet, proto,
Hmm.
and that's all I got. I tried to
No.
go through Japanese copyright, music copyright, stuff like that to see
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
mention
yeah.
of a name proto, but my Japanese is not that good, and Japanese
Hmm.
websites are stuck in early 2000s, so that led me
Yeah, yeah,
nowhere.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's kind of weird that a Russian magazine has anything on that on cancelled piece of media. It's kind of weird that they have it and nobody else, or no other magazine so far we know.
Well, I took this, how should I say, my search to magazines after contacting Kenny Lauderdale. Do you know him?
Mm. Yeah,
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 like
of course, of
this
course.
this YouTuber with obscure media. So I managed to
Mm.
contact him on Twitter, and he like how he researches old obscure media is usually through old magazines, because
Mm. Yeah, he randomly
believe
buys them and then just hope it's in there, basically.
in a way, like believe it or not, not everything is online.
Oh
Especially
no.
like yeah, especially like media from like late 90s when like internet was just starting. Uh,
Mm.
it gets forgotten, and the only place that mention it is usually magazines.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. True.
it's you literally have to go to a library and try to find it, but there is no library for magazines as far as I'm aware. Maybe there is
Mm.
somewhere, but
Yeah.
I haven't found it yet.
Yeah, I mean, I only have Vine basically, which is like this magazine site for like manga magazines. You mean yeah, like it's just chapter by chapter each month or each week, and it just have the covers of that and some info who was in the magazine, and that's about it. How far I got with magazines, or like archive.org has sometimes some magazines, or like I don't know.
Yeah, what I
sometimes
found,
I scan magazines in myself that, yeah, kind of lost or kind of hard to find, or like for interviews and whatnot. So yeah, I know that struggle.
yeah, the magazines throughout the years have definitely changed, evolved in a way. For example, there's like an interesting old magazine called Animerica. Yeah,
Ah, yeah.
yeah, and it's like it used to have like this very like interesting like interviews with the creators and stuff like that. It was not only about like the hottest anime right now. It was almost also like
Mm-hmm.
more into the background of the anime, like how it was produced, like the
Yeah,
staff.
yeah, yeah.
So I really miss that. Maybe someone still does it, but it's definitely more niche than it used to be.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay, okay. Qball, do you have any comments?
I mean, it's just very interesting that something by such a big studio could be lost. I'm glad you mentioned Katsuka. I've been following him for many years. Um, like you say, he has a lot of interest in this kind of particular niche topic. And yeah, just the whole idea of lost media. This is stuff that it took a lot of time and effort to produce, and always, I mean, it's just like they say, lost. It's just so interesting. And I mean that this is just something you happen to know about. Like, imagine if that guy hadn't leaked that video, there would have been no record of it even existing. And you would not have even known to begin to look for it. So I'm just
Yeah,
thinking about all the things that we don't even know. Like, we don't know what we don't know.
yeah, like
Is
the lost media. I'm like really happy that it's gaining traction today, right? It wasn't like as popular as it is now. Like a lot of people started to rediscover all things. Uh, the only issue is a lot of old media, especially like videos, right? It started in VHS cassettes, and VHS cassettes, they don't have an infinite lifetime. They have like a lifetime of like 30 years usually, until they start really deteriorating. So we really have to act now if we want to save like these old obscure things, because eventually they'll get destroyed by time.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I
for
mean,
sure.
it's like, yeah, you give it just a second chance at existing. I mean, on the internet, it's also just how long will that be on? Like, Internet Archive itself is being archived itself, so it's only takes so long before that site is going down or other sites. So, but maybe give it the second life, and more people can research this, or more people can enjoy it or whatnot, or try to figure out how it all's connected or not. So. Yeah, it's more about a second life than really in like 30, 40 years longer or something, because who knows how what the internet will look like in so long. Maybe it just pops up. Maybe it just pops up all of the time and you can't just access anything anymore, just cookies or whatnot. So yeah, can be from
And
everything.
the difficult part about like archiving these things, right? They might be lost, but what's not lost is the copyrights. So like
Mm,
trying to archive something that belongs to someone, but he just forgot about it, it complicates things. Now you like when you rediscover it, you put a lot of effort to restoring it, like making it available for others to view. Then
yeah.
out of nowhere, the person or the company who maybe have like a weird copyright of it somehow from inheritance or something will attack it and then kind of kill it again. It's like it really complicates things.
Yeah, yeah, it happens a
Yeah.
lot with songs.
What's interesting about that is that if something is automatically flagged on YouTube, then that means that somebody had another copy to upload to compare to yours. If you know what I mean. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen that. Somehow they're able to, like, if you upload like a Family Guy episode, that will get flagged because the actual owners of Family Guy also uploaded that episode probably somewhere on YouTube privately, so that the algorithm somehow checks all uploaded videos to make sure that nothing matches it. Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. So like that was like one of my ways to try to find something more about that brand new day video, right? By uploading it to YouTube and hoping I get copyright striked, because apparently that's a very
exactly.
viable way to find more information about it. But
And you know what? I've been down that rabbit hole. There's like a video that has a piece of music that I've been looking for years. And every now and then I check back on the video to see if anybody comments on it, you know. And I, like you, I've uploaded the video, and yeah, no copyright has appeared, you know. So there's is, and I'm sure you know the feeling of something being a splinter in your mind, you know, all the time, you know.
yeah,
And speaking about lost media, I'm sure everybody has like here in Trinidad, we used to get some very unusual things because it would be kind of a mix of what the people at the station were willing to pay for and what was cheap enough, and somehow we used to get some kind of unusual things. Like we got this Sony dub of what we call Samurai X, Rurouni Kenshin, and apparently that dub is, you know, super inaccurate, and it changes characters' names and all sorts of things, but it's beloved here because that is the one that we got, you know. But that dub itself is almost like lost media. You can't really seem to find it because I think like that dub was done as a sort of test for the series that didn't go successfully, and they just kind of dumped it here, you know. That is the best kind of theory that I heard.
yeah.
Because the dub,
Now that you mention
mm,
about like local dubs, yeah, animations, like a lot of animations, if they
mm,
were broadcast in your country, it's still animation. So TV studios treat it as something for kids, even though like anime, a lot of times is definitely not for kids, especially from the 90s. Uh,
Oh yeah.
and of course, they make a dub for it. But the thing is, like with that, it's like there is a very niche appeal for that. Most of people like to watch anime without any dubs. So that there is like a very small minority of people, and from minority from that specific country, who care enough to like preserve, like, let's say, like a German or Italian dub like of that anime. And because it's so niche, it's like it doesn't survive in many forms, and if it does, it has to be done by like very small dedicated group of people. Like I've seen so many dead like torrents of like old shows with specific dubs, but no one
mhm.
wants to see them, because like no one really cares about like a dub like in like Spanish, right? Because not a lot of people speak Spanish compared to English, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
prefer to listen to Japanese original dub.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I've seen on the subreddit, and I mean, not the subreddit. Yeah, well, yeah, on the subreddit and on Discord, that somebody found like some recently some Russian dubs and some obscure countries dubs from an anime, and he puts them on, yeah, and whatnot. But nobody's actually interested, really into them. I mean, it's more people like us that are more interested in that, or just try to figure out what you mean, how they did all that, or how it sounds, or whatnot, or the history about it, or how it came to be. And it's just more for us an interesting topic, or for channels like Sakura Stardust, if you heard of that. It's also an goes all, obscure stuff in Japanese, obscure stuff like Juchen or anime, manga, and whatnot. So yeah, that's also a real thing. Like, I mean, I try to download sometimes stuff from Nyasos, like MPD Psycho, for instance. It was like a short live action of like 6 episodes, really experimental, really nice. And there's also like a few people that ever downloaded it and was just put on there, so I could just download it. But otherwise, you could not find any other good copy anywhere. of that anime. The only copy that has English subtitles on it was on Bilibili, the Japanese site, and that was like 144p resolution or something. That was the only way I could ever find it. So I could not find anything anywhere. Maybe the
How-
DVD somewhere, but yeah.
Yeah, talking about endangered media, I want to really mention one specific area is AMVs, so animated music videos, but
Mm,
like made by fans, not by official
yeah, yeah, yeah.
studios, but by fans. It used to be like a really big part of anime culture. It kind of still
Yeah,
is,
2000.
not as big as it used to be, but it still is. And there was so many AMVs made back in the day, especially like in around like the start of YouTube, right? Like 2006,
Mm,
2007,
yeah,
everyone
yeah,
was making AMVs, and some of them were really amazing. And it takes a lot of passion, effort to make a good AMV. And
mm,
what's happening right now is they are getting taken down by YouTube
yeah.
because of copyright laws.
Mm,
There is something going on with like animated, like anime copyrights, especially on YouTube. They're being treated like extremely aggressively, especially Studio Ghibli. I don't know what's up with them, but they are super aggressive with their copyright system. And any animated music video from Studio Ghibli, for example, right? Which like
mm.
not from Studio Ghibli, but
Or
like a
Toei, for
person
instance.
who used Studio Ghibli's animation, their AMV is getting deleted from the website like really quickly. For
Yeah.
example, there is like this one YouTuber whose AMVs I highly enjoy. It goes by the name of Yotsu, and
Mm,
that person had a lot of amazing, very like very chill vibe type of AMVs that I enjoyed. It wasn't like pop songs or something. It was like lo-fi type of music combined with like Ghibli animation, and it was like beautiful. It was really nicely done, high effort, and
mm.
unique. And basically, like two-thirds of that person's channel was deleted because Studio Ghibli decided that it's not transformative art. It's not art. It's infringes on our copyrights, and
Yeah,
it
yeah,
should not exist.
yeah. That's the problem with the Japanese medium, like the anime industry. They think that if the West or anybody outside just makes something with their animation, they think it's just infringement and copyright and stolen and whatnot. But they can't see the point of free advertisement for your anime or free advertisement of the series or the logo or the company or whatnot. They just see that it's stolen, that you infringe on the copyright, and that's about it. They don't see it as, yeah, they don't see it that way. They're just like, I mean, they're just, stuck in the past, basically. The majority is like, from the top directors of the Oosters companies are like from the 60s, and they just live in that world still that copyright is copyright and you can't make anything with it, basically. So they're just kind of stuck in the times, basically, with copyright in general. Like for magazines too, I try to get this art book scanned in from somebody, but this person just gets backlash over and over about the scans. Like, this is copyright. You can't do this. You can't do that because the copyright laws is really high in Japan. So you can't get it out anywhere. Or people are just not liking your stuff or flagging your stuff or whatnot. Even if it's here in the West and you don't obey by those laws. And yeah, or just some obscure interview from the 2000s about an obscure anime that nobody ever seen, even on that, are really passionate about, that it's not shared by anybody else or not shared to any company or whatnot. But who would care about that, because it's so obscure. So yeah, it's really difficult to get anything out, really, if you're in Japan or talk to anybody that can get you something, basically.
Well, it used to be a lot worse, but like for personally, I understand like the point of copyrights. Like, yes, you're trying to
Mm.
protect your IP. You're trying to, like, this is your work, right? You don't want anyone to be profiting from it and stuff like that. But my argument for AMVs is like, at that point, it's modified by so much. It's edited
Yeah.
so much that no one's going to use like AMV to watch your anime from episode 1, because that's not how AMVs work. Like,
No.
I understand kind of like from the music point, like maybe music copyrights, right? But like
Mm.
usually it doesn't get taken down because it's using like specific music. It's usually like nowadays it's because it's using specific animation. And it's
Yeah.
like, in my opinion, AMVs are so departed from its origin, from animation that it's using, like it's telling a completely different story, that at that point I would classify it as transformative art. Like one famous example of transformative arts is like the reaction YouTube channels or Twitch channels.
Mm. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
they kind of go around the copyright by watching a full episode, let's say Avatar or some kind
One
of like
Piece.
One Piece,
Something.
yeah, and putting their face at the corner of the screen and call it a reaction video. And
But it's just
technically,
watching it for 20 minutes, saying barely anything, and boom, got your
yeah,
video.
it's just a way to get around the copyright system, and I don't think it's very honest. It's a loophole. I don't know how long it will survive. But AMVs, they don't do that. They tell a new story. They
Yeah,
express
yeah, yeah. They're really
emotions.
created, and somebody put real effort into it and get something out there that they like and others may like. And a React channel is just React channel, and that's about it.
Yeah, it's like, it's really sad to see them go. I really, really hope that some kind of like compromise can be reached between like Japanese industry and just people who are very passionate about animation and music. It's just
Hmm.
sad to see it go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, literally yesterday and today, I was like looking for new magazines that I want to scan in the future on Pacific Manga Tsutomanie, which is obvious for my channel and profile pic and whatnot. So yeah, try to get that back into circulation, back into me, and maybe in one magazine from 2001. I try to get back into it. I mean, through the years, we had this whole list of complete interviews from the guy from like 1999 to like 2019. So, like 20 years of that. So, yeah, just to get a timeline of how the guy's whole history was, or how the guy's whole career is. So, yeah, I mean, that part of archiving I get or understand. I mean, I want to put maybe some things on, yeah, like the DVD box that I bought from 4C with all the shorts that, yeah, because the whole interface of that whole DVD was not aligned yet, and I gave it to you some of those DVDs just to give to somebody else, but I still need to upload it there, and the CD-ROM still needs to get descripted one day. But that's future music, really.
Mhm. Uh, Talking about like archiving and like making stuff survive somehow, right?
Mm.
What I notice is like it survives through community effort, but many times that community effort is unfocused. I will call out a specific like how should I say community? Would it be like data hoarders, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's really like like I'm impressed that they managed to like archive a lot of stuff, but they are more about the quantity, not quality. It's like, oh, I got that many terabytes of stuff. I have a petabyte of stuff. It's really
Yeah,
cool,
yeah,
but
yeah.
like, are you like even properly like indexing
Interested in it?
it? interested in it? Are you like properly cataloging it? Are you making it available to others to see? It's like a very like, I would say, maybe not misguided, but like
Bit selfish.
unfocused. And not selfish. I mean, it's still a person who does its own hobby. It's his
Yeah,
decision. But like,
yeah,
if you have the capability, like, I think managing to share it somehow makes your collection a lot more valuable than just sitting on your hard drive. Like, I
yeah,
would,
yeah,
I
yeah.
would love to see like more focused way. Like torrents, they are like a double-edged sword, right? It's like the backbone of piracy. But
Yeah.
torrents also allow us to archive a lot of really, really like stuff that you might think would be lost to time. But oh my god, like this anime from like 1973 for like animation, children's animation, it still survives because like a single seeder, a single person he has like still his
Yeah,
computer
like a
on, like a
9 millimeter
shitty,
or not,
like
or something like
like a
that.
shitty Asus PC somewhere in the corner still is seeding that animation. It's like amazing to see it not being completely lost.
Mm.
Uh, so I think like torrents, even though they are being used for many illegal stuff, they also have an amazing capability of preserving a lot of history, not only
Yeah,
animation, like
and
arts in
I
general.
just want to interject. God bless that one server that's had whatever up for 17 years or whatever. Like
Yeah, it's like
yeah, yeah, it's similar to games. Like sometimes there's games that's removed from services for all kinds of rights complications, similar to the anime, and it's just not available outside of those means.
hmm.
So yeah, that,
God bless that
you
one
know,
cedar. You are our angel.
yeah, like speaking of like specific dubs, like we had a dub here for well, apparently it's popular in Germany. I probably butchering the name, but Janoch Tramstunde or something like that. But we got it as, I think it was the Little Bear, the Tiger, and the others, right? But I've been trying for years to find out, what that was because, uh, I mean, I'm working with my bad memory and the fact that that is not the original name. But over years, I managed to kind of track it down as like a English dub. But as far as I know, I don't think it was shown on TV in many other places. And if it was shown like very briefly. So I can't find the dub anywhere. But recently I've seen the official German site uploaded, but of course they uploaded it in German. So that the dub, um, I mean, the dub itself is lost to time. I don't think anybody. It only ever came out on VHS. And only a few of them have luckily been uploaded to YouTube. But that used to show on TV here all the time. So uh, yeah, I could only imagine what the situation is like in other places. Like
Yeah, it's
online.
sometimes like I know like some people even go to like the TV studios who used to air those animations and like go through their archives to find something. Sadly, those studios, like they don't always have like an archive. Like they just overwrite stuff after it gets old enough
Yeah,
to save
or it gets
space.
wrongly labeled to another warehouse or something, and you find it there by chance and just have the master or have anything from it. And yeah, it's the same with movies all the time.
Now that you mentioned of that, right, mislabeling or putting it somewhere in like obscure like room and looking it away for like 30 years, I think
Hmm.
that exactly happened. I'm not sure how that anime is called, but like the master of that anime, so like the original like
Yeah,
high
yeah,
quality scan of it, was recently found in like a closet, just behind a shelf or something. And it was thought that the original was lost to time, but now they like randomly found it, and now they can like remake the whole movie in Blu-ray because
Yeah.
they have the original.
Damn.
Yeah, that's
That's
yeah, that's pretty impressive. I mean, it was also done with like Jean d'Arc from like the 1920s or something. That was found in an insane asylum that was still operative or something like that. There's also really, rare coincidences that you find stuff like that in just the weirdest places, or like churches, or like, I don't know, anywhere really. I mean, Kenny Lauderdale had also something like a dub in Russia, and sometimes like a Spanish or a Russian dub or something found in a warehouse in Russia in some crate. And he still had to figure that out, how to get it done and how to get it out or whatnot. So yeah, it's just a really interesting process on like how people find all this stuff. Sometimes in the weirdest places.
Yeah. Now that I'm
yeah,
starting. Oh, go on, Qball.
I just want to say, and then you have to hope that the person who comes across this unusual thing even knows what it is, because I imagine there's people probably tripping over all kinds of lost media, but to them it's just anything. Like when I was like here in Trinidad, VHS lasted a long time. But before that, there was Betamax, and I remember there was kind of the format was, and VHS won over, and all these places had just Betamax tapes all over the place. They would be like holding up the short leg of a cupboard or something like that. Just acting as spacers or something to prevent the more important tapes from falling down. And imagine like in places like that, there might be all kinds of lost media, because like I mentioned, Trinidad used to get some strange stuff. Like it might be because also we didn't really have like a lot of copyright laws. So all kinds of bootlegs. I mean, a lot of lost media I think is found again in a bootleg form, right? Because the official form, or maybe there was never an official form. And that is the only way that it was preserved, like a bootleg VHS or something that somebody made.
And sometimes there's like this like really weird situation. This is like really specific to Japan. The original release sometimes is worse than what was being translated on, being shown on TV, because believe it or not, Japan had full HD, and I mean like 1080i, so 1080 interlaced TV in the late 80s. And that kind of blows my mind. So the quality they managed to transmit was insane. And people who managed to get to record those translations, those transmissions of those shows when it was shown on TV, they sometimes get a lot higher quality recording out of it than what they later release on DVDs. And some of animes were never released on Blu-ray. They were only released on DVDs, and we all know that on DVDs the quality is hit or miss, and with Japan it's usually miss. And it looks so much worse compared to like HD TV of Japanese recordings. It's really bizarre.
Yeah.
So like that would mean presumably those anime were mastered at that resolution, or I should say there existed at least a version of that anime in a higher resolution, in a higher quality than what it was able to get afterwards. So I wonder, did the station, that was probably a case where the station just kind of recorded over that or something like that. Because I remember that was the case for a lot of stuff when, like, I always hear the story about Doctor Who. I don't know much about Doctor Who, but apparently that is why so many of them lost, because the tapes were recorded over. So I wonder, all these anime were probably just recorded over with other stuff. They would get it from the studio somehow and just record it over or something like that, and it would just
the
They would then be
situation
lost to
the situation with
mm,
Doctor Who is Doctor Who by itself is a very old TV show. It's like I think it started in the 60s, maybe even like late 50s. I'm not sure, but like it,
60s
and
it was.
it's like extremely old TV show that's been running for decades. And the thing about it is like it predates VHS. Many people might not realize, but before VHS or Betamax, there was no cheap video storage available to the masses. VHS was the first thing which was widely available for people to use and record stuff. And it came out in like 76 maybe. And Doctor Who predates that. And those episodes, they were used to be stored on video reels, I think. So like an even older format, which was very specialized, expensive, only for studios. And yeah, like it was too expensive to store it. They just reused the same reels over and over again. And an incredible amount of TV shows from the 50s and 60s, they never survived because they were before the VHS era. So no one
Yeah,
at home could record them.
yeah. And it was also
yeah,
pretty expensive to record on them, so they were just re-recorded all the time. Like an TV show was like The Avengers, if you know about it. It's like season 1 of that is like 95% of it that is just lost, and sometimes some episodes of parts of it are being found, but it's just majority of the time is lost. Same with anime from the same time. It's also a lot of it is just lost or gone or partly lost or just so degraded that you can't do anything anymore with it because it's just because of the humidity in Japan, it's just degraded so much you can't do anything with it. Or it's just a nightmare to put together again, or people don't want to share it because, like Laurel once said, it's like people show it in private gatherings or something and just let it run its course till it's just completely burned up and just gone because they just want to preserve it like the old days and just, have that nostalgia on it, but not like trying to restore it and try to keep it for further generations. So yeah, it can be really frustrating to find all this stuff or it's even around or
And there's
whatnot.
also a problem, especially with Japanese media, right? Like anime. A lot of anime, old anime, was released not only on VHS, but also a thing called Laserdisc.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Laserdisc, like it was a flop basically around the world because it was so expensive.
In
But for
Japan,
some
it
reason,
became too. In
yeah,
Japan, they kept
for
it a
some
bit longer.
yeah, like in Japan, like at least for like anime, it was really popular. Like if you could find a VHS of old anime, a Laserdisc probably existed. So, but of course, even Laserdisc has its own like time limitations.
Yeah, because air comes between the layers of plastic, so you just need like 8 of these things to get one anime or one episode or something like that. So it's really a pain to get it all, basically.
It is, and it's like it's still like I think Laserdisc might have a longer shelf life than VHS, but like they have different problems. Like VHS has problems with magnetism. Like the Earth itself demagnetizes the VHS, and it loses data over time just because of Earth's magnetic field. Believe it or not.
and also, well, I just want to say I don't know if this is a common thing, but here in Trinidad, I think I don't know, the humidity or something makes it grow mold over a period of time. And there were actually VHS tapes sold, I think. I might be misremembering this, but I swear I saw tapes that said anti-fungus, properties. Like, yeah, they knew that this is a problem, so they had like anti-mold or fungus tapes made, and they would actually see it on the when it was wound up, and I think it would actually dirty the heads as it was playing, That's like, and well, I know for Laserdiscs, I know a lot of them have like disc rot, And that's another problem that we have here with a lot of discs. Well, I don't have any laser discs, but I've seen like original DVDs and original CDs get disc rot on them. You'd actually see it, like a soil in the, like a rust almost in that grows from inside the disc, and then sometimes you'd lift up the disc, and the entire foil part would remain inside the case.
Yeah, that is a
That's how
very
bad
interesting
it gets
point
sometimes here.
bring in, right? About like the deterioration. What's fascinating is some formats prevailed in certain countries, and some were more popular in others because of the climate. Like VHS is really uncomfortable and like very hard to use. And I think like in Asian countries like Malaysia, Thailand, because they have an extremely moist air. There's like a lot of moisture in the air, and VHS just does not like that. It just does not survive that, and that's why in those countries they used a really like weird format. It was a CD video. CD video, yeah. So
Right. VCD.
it's like
Like that was I'm familiar with it. It was a VCD,
yeah, VCD,
video
yeah,
CD.
video CD, yeah. And like it predated it predates DVD video, right? And it's like cheaper to make players for it. So like really, really badly compressed videos are available in those countries. Like sometimes you'll see
Like,
like Xvid format on some like obscure websites and like really tiny, like 15 megabytes or whatever sizes, and it's specifically for VCD discs and like these Asian countries on the players, this really old players who can only play Xvid. It's really bizarre.
yeah, is like I might be wrong about this, so I'm sure there's somebody that knows better than me. But there were actually players where I had to pay for a license for the codec, and like I think like if you didn't pay, the player would stop working or something like that. But I know there was Xvid and there was DivX, and I remember these were like early. I'm not sure how related they are to VCD, but I knew that there were some players that were advertised clearly as saying, this supports DivX video, this supports, Xvid videos, and I know that they actually made consoles that were able to play them back in the day. Like there would be like a Sega Saturn that had VCD compatibility. Like this was before the PS2 came out that actually had DVD built into it. So this was kind of like they probably made it because of the popularity of VCD in those markets, and on CRT TVs, the quality actually doesn't look that bad because, you kind of have that smushing of the signal over a composite cable. So, it looks bad now though, make no mistake, but on old TVs, it used to look a lot better. So it was probably like a lot more acceptable.
The CRT TVs really have this weird effect of making really bad sources video look better than they are, and making good video, making high quality sources look awful. It's really like quite a thing.
It's a great equalizer, Is it and it's interesting now that some people are nostalgic for that look, and they go out of their way to make new things look like that. They're putting in static and this kind of color distortion and all sort of stuff to mimic the VHS look that we was so like we always wanted to get rid of that.
We've seen a resurgence of that VHS type of thing in music genre called vaporwave. Like they really try to use that VHS aesthetic as a nostalgic type of thing to bring people back to the other, like the older times when like times were quote unquote better or something, because we were younger. Like we want to remember the time before the internet was such a whole consuming thing, when things were like different. And yeah, it's like that VHS effect really brings our childhood in a way.
Yeah, you can't see it without thinking back to those days, Yeah, and I'm familiar with the vaporwave thing. Is like that too. Uh, is like the audio itself. They kind of digitally recreate the distortion that you get sometimes. Like a bad audio cassette or something like that, or like the bad audio that you get in VHS. Where the tape was stretched and it would play fast. Like imagine like all these things that were how to say there were imperfections in the old media that people actually trying to get now, trying to go out of their way to create again. It's interesting.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
like the whole like history of video, like how it survives through all of these different formats, is really fascinating. Like I think music has survived a lot better throughout the years because of vinyl. Like it's just music can also survive like on a piece of paper. You can write down the lyrics, you can write down the instruments, but you cannot write down the video, can you? It can only survive in
Yeah.
like these specific formats, and it's like tough luck if you don't have it.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
mean,
that's an interesting point. I never really thought about that. Like like I mean, we could write down the script for a movie, but it won't really be the same movie. And I mean, like with the music, it wouldn't be the same person singing it, or it wouldn't be the exact same instrument. But
yeah.
that is actually pretty close.
Yeah. I
Yeah, it's
mean,
close
Pretty
same.
enough.
much closer.
Yeah.
Especially if it's
Yeah,
like
like
a classical piece of music, like Bach or something. There is no vocals. You can almost perfectly replicate it with the instruments. Yeah, yeah, and like I guess images can survive a lot better too, because photographs, there's like a physical medium which is not afraid of time as much as video, right? It's not as, it doesn't require so much storage. It's not as precise. It can have scratches on it, and you can still see what's on the photo.
Yeah. I mean, I
I
remember
guess it's
on.
about
remember on MySpace, for instance, there was a huge archive of music, and when they made an update to that, all of that was basically gone, and just a small amount was basically found. And just like that kind of stuff can be lost in one instance if a site just updates or gets an error or DDoS attack, and just all of it is just gone in one go. That's also a scary thing to think about, or like.
Now
Well,
that you
and if
mentioned
it's
that
something.
destruction, right? That you mentioned that destruction of music. Uh,
Mm,
in our modern times, there was, I would say, a very close thing to the burning of Alexandria's library,
yeah,
in form of music archive called What CD. What CD was an illegal pirated music website, but it had an amazing, I mean, incredibly wide selection of music. It had over 10 million unique music titles. And I
Oh,
don't think there was any other place approaching even close to this wide of a selection of music. And it wasn't like
mm,
only like the popular music, it was like really obscure local type of indie rock, whatever you can imagine type of music, which could not be found anywhere else in the world. And
mm,
like I wish they would have found like a way to like at least not destroying it, or like at least preserving it for like at least people who want to find like very specific things, like with like proper access, like proper licensing or whatever, instead of like destroying it. Because it's an incredible amount of community effort put into it. Like no like government facility would be able to do that, because like the numbers of people who were so dedicated to that was insane.
Yeah.
I think
And
is like I'm sure many of those artists were glad to kind of have their work preserved, because you know they would rather have it preserved than nobody ever hear it again, right?
Yeah, I don't
Even
really
if they weren't making any money.
yeah, personally, like, I don't really care about like the very popular music, because well, it's being preserved because it's so popular. A lot of people are listening to it, but I'm more concerned about like these like very local bands who have appear like twice on radio or something, and you can never find it again because it doesn't exist anywhere. Like
Yeah,
if it's
and
obscure enough, I think like it deserves to be like preserved in any ways possible.
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, I know with some pop stars, like those drama pop star, like those pop stars in Japan. Well, if someone had a scandal back in the day, like in the 80s or like 90s or something, then something they worked on at the same time gets completely scrubbed, and the artist was really popular. Everybody knew it in Japan, etc., etc. But then something really popular is suddenly just gone, and there's just nothing of it. Just so you have something really popular, but it's just scrubbed from everything, and it's just gone. It's also really weird that you something have really popular, but at the same time it's gone, or like somewhere in an archive, and they don't want to show it because of that scandal, because they did something with drugs or anything like that. It's also a weird coincidence.
It is like
yeah,
sometimes people assume something is archived because it was so popular once, but it creates this uh, false image of security. Like sometimes like really popular stuff might disappear completely because like everyone thought someone else was preserving it, and in reality no one was preserving it.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
so
mean,
if there's a video that you always go back to on YouTube, it would probably be good for us to download it. You know, like because I show everybody. Have you ever gone back to old playlists that you made and it says
and the
something like
video is just
unavailable
gone, and
videos
you
are
have no
hidden?
clue what it was. Yeah,
Yeah,
so many times.
at least I know what it was. You know, for Christ's sake. You know, because you don't know what you don't know, and this was a playlist you saved. You know, 8 years ago or
Hmm.
something. You know, like, and you had to have saved it for a reason.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, to preserve it somehow. But yeah, I mean, it's also the same with a lot of YouTube channels, like obscure YouTube channels. Like one day somebody can just delete a video be, because of some reason that's really interesting. Or have something, some whole research on something you want to see, and the video is just gone. So you wish that you had downloaded the video or something. And there are people that actually do that. That just they have just a feeling that something is going to go down, and just download it and then
All right.
maybe upload it, re-upload it, or keep it for themselves to put somewhere else or whatnot. So yeah, you have also that a lot of the times that happens.
Yeah.
Happened to me a few times.
Like, and then sometimes like I actually find the video uploaded. You know, you mentioned Billy. I find stuff there. You know, that was like, and it's like, and there was a YouTube channel that I looked at, but there's other YouTube channels now when I'm searching for it that they come up instead, and the only thing that showed me that I wasn't insane was that I looked at, like, it might have been a Yandex search, a image search, and I saw the thumbnail of the guy, but he, you know, like they would have like a
Mm.
thumbnail for a channel, but when I click on
Yeah,
the channel could no longer be there. You know, so there's a lot of stuff like that. You know, like,
I am really interested if YouTube actually like deletes the videos. I am I don't think they actually delete the videos. I think
I
they just make it
mean,
inaccessible. I don't I, like I really like I'm like just knowing the size of Google and like YouTube, right? Like YouTube has absurd databases. I wonder if they actually delete it. Maybe
Because
there's a way
remember,
to
if
preserve it.
I mean,
no,
maybe it's
I am not
somewhere
sure.
stored, some of it, if it's not too offensive or just, delete for no reason. I mean, I can guess that as something that's really offensive, of like, about Second World War or Hitler or whatnot, something like of that nature, like neo-Nazis or whatnot. That's probably really scuffed, because why would you want to keep that in an archive somewhere? But yeah, I think the majority is somewhere, some drive or some cloud or something.
Well, think about
It
it,
has
right?
to be safe, right? It has to be safe, because if they want to use it against you later on, they will need something to look back to. That is why I think they would part of why they would save it. Like so if somebody's terminated and they're asking why they terminated, they would have to have it, to kind of point back and say, well, they did this. I've never deleted a channel, but I think that I think you could remove access to all the videos on the channel, but you could still download the original that you had uploaded.
You have to think about it, right? You see like a deleted YouTube video, but the link of the YouTube video never really disappears. It's never being reused. It's just like
you
a
can.
graveyard.
Yeah, sometimes you can find videos on archive.org if it's archived, which is kind of rare. It's not always the case, but sometimes you can find it on there, even if the vid is gone or just delisted or unlisted for some reason, and you can still find it.
I mean, some things are just too big to be archived. Like, how in the world are you going to archive YouTube? Like,
yeah, that's an impossible task.
Like,
There's so much. It's like for hundreds of years of stuff is on there or were on there or whatnot. It's like impossible. And you have to think about all the unlisted stuff. So if you like something that's unlisted, that's unlisted, then you're the only one that can see the video. So if you screen cap that video, you can still save it. I mean, I have one video of like a short of a movie director that only made 100 tapes. He had 3 shorts, and there were only 100 tapes per short. So it's really rare to have it or to get it, but some people uploaded stuff but unlisted it for some reason because copyright claims. And you're the only one that still has it because it's only has like 15 views or something or 20, and you're like the only one that have it. So if you just download that, put it on archive.org or somewhere else, then you still have saved it. So yeah, that's also
now that you mentioned like really rare stuff, right? There is like this weird mentality of people who collect really rare digital stuff. For example, Atari games, or like really like obscure,
for their
and
because
they
it's so
collect
rare they
them.
want to hoard it.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, because it's so rare, it gains value, and because it gains value, people don't want to share it. So you know that a copy exists, but it's unavailable to you. Like, if something exists but you can never access it, does it really exist then? It's like
I know what you mean.
Does bear shit in the
Schrodinger
woods?
type thing. Try not to think too much about it, but it could also be like, what if the thing actually sucks? Do you even want to? But just the idea that you can't is a problem. You know what I mean? It's like, but I know what you mean. There's these people that buy these like prototype cartridges and they never dump them.
Oh yeah.
Like there's a lot of stuff like that in the retro game community. Like there'll be some prototype game that never was released, and somebody will buy it for like hundreds of thousands of dollars or something, and then never make an image of it so that other people could see it. Some people are even kind of worse. They put up like a video of it. Maybe I don't know if that is better or worse. Well, here's a video of this thing that only I can access, but they're not going to see all of it. But I mean, like, that guy house burns down or something like that, you know, then it's gone again, you know. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of like a weird thing, you know. I guess that person wasn't really about preservation. It's about having something that nobody else has. And I mean,
Yeah.
people are allowed to do that. It's just kind of lousy, you know.
I mean, people, yeah, well, it's in a way like it proves that, you know, like we live in like a free world that people can do this, but also it kind of makes me sad that people choose to do it, you know. Like sharing is caring. Share if you can.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember of like the first or like oldest hentai that was found, or like the 30s and 20s or something. That was confiscated by the Japanese police. They kept it for 50 years and then they gave it to a research center to research it. But the problem is they won't release it because they want to study it. So a research center that's researching hentai is hoarding some really old hentai that's like made by fans or something. And
Really?
they don't
And
want
as
to
you
release
say,
it because they want to research it. It's
yeah,
also
So it's
research.
like so it's like a fan-made shorts thing.
well, no, it's like it's original hentai that they basically made in like with a bunch of guys that just made that in like a room or something. And when they were playing that, the police busted in because back then porno was like banned basically. You can make it, you can distribute it like illegally, etc., because they were it was you know it was the 20s, 30s. So they confiscated it, and 50 years later, they still had it. Then they sent it over to a research center, and that's researching it, like how it was made and what the thinking was at the time. So basically, they're watching really old hentai just to research it and
So
not
like,
release it to the public till they're done with
what
it.
year are we talking about? Is this like 1930s?
It must be the 30s or 20s. I mean, I think the Anime Man made a video about it. I could look it up and then send it over. Wait, maybe I can do it now.
Incredible. Like, people were horny throughout the ages. It's not something recent.
Yeah, it's just a really interesting point that something just like that was even found or even, kept for so long by the police because they couldn't release it. And afterwards, like, well, why the fuck do we have some weird hentai from like 50 years ago? So we can better just keep it.
But now I'm starting to wonder, right? Like, how do we choose what things should be preserved and what things should not? It's like a really difficult question because, like, you cannot store everything. That's like not technologically capable, and no one would watch it. But like, how do you decide what to preserve?
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to be sure, there's no way that any one person could do it. I mean, consider that no other media company except Google is able to even store the what's in YouTube. So it might just have to be looking at what likely to be taken down or deleted, and just trying your best. I mean,
YouTube is
yeah,
like it's like the biggest type of like archive on Earth in a way. It like archives humanity's like view on world since 2006. It's kind of amazing when you think about it. Like, man, I wonder how YouTube will look for like 50 years. Like it's going to be like an archaeology site.
Yeah, and people will be like, "Oh, this is why aliens will contact us," But I mean,
Just for that.
It's still important to save it, Like that, it might be even more important to save it because of that, It's like this is. We shouldn't only save our wins, We should save our losses too. I think, and I'm sure a lot of YouTube fall into that category, It's like people only always, people always want to save like the panda or something cute, but I'm sure there's some kind of poisonous, deadly creature somewhere that nobody likes that we should still save, probably, maybe. And then a lot of YouTubers like that, like I showed her this ancient thing confiscated by the Japanese government, whether it's good or not, or that has nothing to do with it. They should still release it to people. But I know Japan particularly has some unusual laws with that. But yeah, just and a lot of the prototype games are bad and they crash and they're not finished and they were unreleased for a reason basically, But people should still be able to see what it was, to see what it was, But
like time, it's becoming a lot harder to preserve things because we're producing content at such an incredible pace, and every year it's like increasing exponentially. Like the amount of content is absurd. And now, for example, because of the new tools like AI tools, we can generate a lot of images, a lot of high quality images, right? And like trying to preserve those, it's just absurd. It's like anyone can generate an image in like seconds, and like that's not how it used to be. And like I wonder, we are constantly outpacing our ability to store something by our ability to generate. And it's like a really difficult question is like what to preserve, how to preserve it. It's incredibly hard.
Yeah, I mean, look, I just read this thing here. There's 500 videos, 500 hours of video uploaded to YouTube every minute. I don't think I even have 500 hours of videos in all my files. That is just so. How much of that is people with forgetting the lens cap on or something like that? Should we save that too? It's hard to tell. But then like that'll be the video that I will be looking for in the future. Like how it is with stuff that you have at home. The minute you throw it away is the minute you need it, right?
Yeah.
So I think about like this too. Like you ever look at the tip of my tongue Reddit? Like somebody will be looking for some kind of ancient thing, or there's like a lot of subreddits like that. Like where people are looking for some piece of media. Like they'll look for a video or a song and they'll hum it or they'll describe the video. Like I was describing a obscure commercial to somebody. Sorry, I was describing it on the website. And I actually remember the song too, and I tried to recreate it, right? And one person from like Texas or somewhere, they recognized it too. And they had also posted about it on that same subreddit earlier. But no, I was the only other person who remembered it, but they found my post, and then so like I mean, just look at the disparity, You have somebody from like Texas somewhere, and then somebody from Trinidad trying to find the same ancient commercial, and no amount of searching online from either of us for all these years has ever found it. And this was probably like the 90s or probably the early 90s. So if we got it in Trinidad in the early 90s, it might have been the mid to late 80s in other countries, because like anything we get was at the time probably like a few years old. So
yeah,
I mean, yeah, that is another lost media rabbit hole. Lost commercials. I sure you look at like some of those only exist on recordings that people made, and they weren't even recording that. They were recording some other show, and the commercials just happened to be within it, So like I'm sure it exists somewhere in somebody's archives, but
So the thing is, right?
Like
you mentioned people's archives, right? People who record stuff and it survives somewhere under the TV or something. Yeah, it's there was this one fascinating case. I think it was like a woman called Brooks. if I'm not mistaken. And she did something which I think is absolutely insane and incredible. She When she saw the release of VHS, right? Like a year after VHS was released, she started recording every TV station she could at home. Like she had like 8 TVs constantly running 24/7 with DVR recorders, which were recording constantly VHS tapes, everything that's being broadcasted. And she did it from the 70s until she died in like 2013 or something. And she had an
Jesus.
absurdly large collection of VHS cassettes just stacked to the roof. And like, if I'm not mistaken, that whole collection of those VHS cassettes of American TV archived from 1970s was shipped to archive.org in like large shipping containers because there was so much of them.
Jesus.
Yes, and I think they're
Jesus.
like trying to archive it. It's insane, like what one person's efforts can really do to like preserve it. I think,
You know
like,
what, God?
yeah,
Godspeed to them. Godspeed to them. You know, I mean, I'm sure the commercial is among them. You know, but then who's gonna number one? Who's gonna? How long is it gonna take for them to transfer all of that? And then two, how would we even find it? You know, have yeah, just somebody would have to archive that. I mean, not even archive it, catalog it. You know,
yeah, like
who is gonna do that?
well, archive is trying to do that, but like the difficult issue is not like the archiving itself, right? But like making that information searchable and available. That's like the really difficult part, because like imagine you have like 50 years of recordings, and now you have to make it indexable, searchable, and available. That's a difficult issue. How are you going to do that? It's like, thank God we have like TV guides, right? That will help them. But like, what about like obscure YouTube videos or like other stuff? That's an issue we have to solve. But like, we're doing not a really good job because it takes a lot of effort. Like maybe hopefully the AI tools will allow us to do it automatically. I hope.
Well,
Yeah.
I was wondering that, but then
I'm 100%
Yeah.
sure that like 50% of lost media would be found instantly, because it's probably exists on YouTube somewhere, but it's probably not labeled correctly. It's probably not searchable. It's just like, it's incredible how much lost media is not actually lost, but it's just so incredibly hard to find that it seems
right,
lost.
mislabeled media. You know, that's like a subset of lost media. Oh, just mislabeled. You know, or this Doctor Who that was mislabeled as, I don't know,
I mean,
colonoscopy or something like that, and
yeah.
put away somewhere that nobody would ever watch.
I mean, with music, we also have a site in Rotterdam here in the Netherlands. It's called Music Web, which is also a site you can just lend CDs from any artist that they have for a week, so you can archive that yourself. So basically, you can just get CDs that's really rare or really obscure or whatnot, or like vinyls, and they put that also on CD. So in that way, you can just archive stuff yourself, illegally, obviously, but still, we still have some archive of some artists that are in the Netherlands or anywhere in the world, really. So
And eventually, like the copyright will end, right? And when that
Mhm.
ends, like you can make it available, or like at least like preserve it somehow. It's like
yeah.
we
I mean, it's also
assume that things don't change, but like they do changing constantly, and like that's why it's important to archive something that you might find offensive today or something that you think is not important, right? Because like
Like the
don't
anti.
you don't know what's going to be important tomorrow or 20 years later. For example, who knew that McDonald's commercials from the 90s are going to be
Yeah.
used for music videos today? It's like insane.
Or 3DS games, for instance. There was like a guy of like 50-minute video how to get the 3DS game from the Japan, from McDonald's, to instruct people on how to do the job at a McDonald's, basically. People try to archive that kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, kind of weird, but still interesting somehow.
Hey, look, one day, it's gonna help somebody, to find like that commercial. Imagine all the other things like that. What I've been seeing out. There's like these I'm not sure what I call them, interstitials or something like that for Cartoon Network, like bumpers, then like little things in between. So not exactly a commercial, but like some sort of animated bumper for between shows. And that's like this whole rabbit hole thing because it's not an episode, so it wouldn't be on any DVD releases of the episode, and people always wondering if that they found all of them, because these are things that only kind of half remember also, and similar to the commercial, people may have recorded it, but they weren't really thinking to record it. They were recording something else, so like a lot of the copies online are like kind of rips from that.
Yeah, like
all these kind of all these
intermediate arts. It's like short commercial breaks. Like MTV used to do that a lot. Like between like music videos, you would see like a short animated video, right? For example, one was quite interesting and thankfully was preserved. I think it was called Aeon Flux, and
yeah, I know.
yeah, and it was like it was animated in such a bizarre format. It was like some of the episodes were quite long, 20 minutes, but some of them were like 2 minutes long, and they were shown between the music videos. And I think like a lot of animations, as Qbhall has mentioned, especially in Cartoon Network, between the animations have been lost because it's not. How do you label those? It's not in a nice package. Oh, it's a season of Samurai Jack or something. No, it's just like
Yeah. I mean, I know with Ian Flux that the first what you mentioned, that the shorts of 2 minutes was like one season of shorts, like 7 or 8 shorts were like that. Had no dialogue, were just some short stories, and were just really experimental. And that became so successful that they made 2 seasons of that with long 20-minute episodes with story and with dialogue. So, yeah, I still have the DVD that has all of that in there. So it's also it's an interesting watch. I mean, some people have said that like the 20-minute short episodes are less interesting than the originals because they're way more experimental and the art is a bit more better, I would say. But still an interesting watch altogether to things. And yeah, what would you call it? Just shorts in between music videos, or how would you do that? It's just short anime videos. I mean, there's a shit ton of short anime videos made on YouTube that is not a music video, but just a short artwork by like universities or whatnot places or studios, for instance. I mean, there's a whole series of one studio that made like 70 of these music videos that were shown at festivals, for instance, and it just played every year, and it just made a whole series of that, basically.
Well, guys, it was an amazing to chat with you, to be on this podcast. Thank you very much for having me on here, and sadly I have to go, but I wish to talk with you sometime again.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, no problem.
So,
no problem.
see you
I'm
guys.
interested,
Yeah,
Bye.
see you next time.
Okay.
So, Now, how about Kaina in the Snow World? What have you seen of that?
Well, I've seen, I think, the first 6 episodes. That was out right now. But
Hmm.
I really think it shows that, like, they're not really, like, a lot of animation is kind of like a lot of the same stuff over and over, and this really
Yeah,
shows
yeah, yeah.
that,
The plot is
you know,
really
we
easy.
yeah, but not just the plot, the world too. They don't. I think a lot of them, a lot of
Hmm.
anime. I mean, there's a lot of interesting anime worlds, but or worlds in media in general, but not a lot of media, I think, really creates like a really strange and really alien world, like they do in a lot of Nihei stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
look at
yeah,
all
yeah.
these different things. There's like a
Yeah,
lot
of
of
course.
common things.
Way more alien and way more deep lore and whatnot. And this is one of his most easiest stories, really. I mean, it's literally just saving a princess, preventing war, and that's about it. There's not much going on, except, of course, the universum that's been uh, expanded on. Because you see, Toei Industries coming back into it. A possible seed ship
Yeah,
with the science that they found on the canopy. And like my theory so far with and the sage, well, my theory so far is that the sage it was a captain of a seed ship that repopulated the planet. And those planets came from a seed ship that were on the canopy. Now is the question is the seed ship still in orbit or like as a wreck, or is just scattered anywhere and everywhere. Because she's also the Princess Leia. You also see her with some jewelry with the Dwarf Industries symbol on it, and you get some technology on what uh, what they use on the ship. So I think that's like a theory on there from. I mean, still Nia does this like putting all kinds of things in there, and you have to gather it to get a whole theory on it or how the world came to be. But yeah, it's just also its first anime with mortal characters like Kili, Suichi, and Abra, and all these other characters were all just these normal characters. We're all just immortal characters that could do anything and just withstand anything. These two are just your regular old humans that can just die in an instant if somebody wanted to. But yeah, still have something going on.
I was also wondering if I don't think that's the natural state of that planet too. I think that they did some sort of terraforming. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, well, what do you think? You think like because there's like the wall underneath, and then there's like
Yeah,
the
the
transparent.
pollen. Yeah, yeah, the wood,
Uh,
the tree pollen. Yeah, I don't know what it is with this water or whatever it is. I mean, on the surface it looks like pollen. You can't look through it, but when you go on the water, you can breathe and it looks like water, but you can see for miles under it. It's not like normal water. In normal water, you can't do that. How can water be so clean that you can
yeah,
just look through it? I mean, yeah, there's a few spots on Earth, but it's
no,
pretty difficult to do that. So I don't know how the water really works in this world. I mean,
well,
terraforming.
I don't.
Yeah,
No, I was thinking it can't be water because they're always short of water. It has to be some other liquid.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like I
Well,
mean,
yeah.
I look
I
at.
mean, it's. I mean, I try to see it at the same thing as water, like something close to it, but it's not water because it acts like water. Because you can float in it, you can swim in it, you can breathe in it. So and you can see through to it. So it's something like it, but it's not the same at the same time. So I don't know. I mean, and for the rest of the planet, I don't think it was terraforming. I think it's more a representation of climate change, like the canopy having these big holes, and the holes get bigger and bigger, like the ozone layer. And these insects can't fix it anymore. And also, there's less food, and there's less water, and less people to do it all. And down there, the sea, the level of the sea, or like whatever it is, just keeps rising. So they have to build higher and higher and higher. And the trees will constantly fall down because they die. So it's kind of a representation of that kind of stuff, I think. I mean, so far it is.
Okay. Yeah, I was well. The the reason why I was wondering if it was this was some a helicopter or something is passing here.
Yeah.
But I was wondering if it was if it because it seemed like the planet itself was like a mega structure because
Mm.
of or but like a bioengineered one. Just because like
Yeah.
uh
Maybe.
because then I would think like why would the sea chip land there if it's such an inhospitable thing, and
Yeah.
looking
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
some
That's
of
a
the
point.
I was also wondering if the like if those things were all bioengineered to once, kind of take care of everything, but like
Mm.
over years, over centuries, similar to Blam, the people kind of forgot and it became almost like a myth, because the old
Yeah.
guy is the
Yeah.
only guy who even knows how to read his own letters. So that's why I was thinking that like the people who lived on the outer sphere, they were they sent down uh how does they sent down settlers to the main planet, but
Mm.
they because there's no way back up or like it's difficult to get back up,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of set they give it to each other then because the guys
They
on top
won't
had no
because
idea
there's
that
no
they were
ground.
yeah and because I was actually reading a book like that where the people they came to a planet that was attempted to be terraformed but like thousands of years before, and they sent down
Mm.
it was just barely, right? But
Yeah.
they had like no choice. They escaped kind of a dying earth, and they sent settlers down, and like over many years, they view the kind of events of the past as like mythology. Like they look up at the sky and they see the ship because the ship is still in orbit,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
The
yeah.
main
And
ship that they
how
came
can
in is
else
still in
can
orbit.
have the canopy these signs ever scattered around? Yeah, how can they have it?
Yeah, so it's similar to this,
Yeah,
but like I said, this is the kind of thing that you don't see in any other anime. You know,
yeah.
like
No,
this
no,
is
no.
I wouldn't.
No. I mean, it's more like a combo of fantasy and science fiction because you see the armor and the swords, and the whole aesthetic of a princess saving, etc., etc., etc. So he tries to be a combo of that, and the structures of the village, for instance, is more like to Sidonia and Biomecha, for instance. So he tries to do something like that.
Yeah,
But then
but
if
I
the
would say
old
that. Well, I just wanted to say I don't think there's any overtly supernatural elements in the.
No, 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 no. It just has the atmosphere and the look of it, but it doesn't have anything like that. So no,
Right.
it just tries to experiment with it. It just tries to do something else with it. But it's Nie, so he's got to do science fiction. So he has no other choice to do that really, because he's been too long at it to really change it up and make some fantasy story, for instance. So he just wants to change it up. But yeah, if the planet was bioengineered and was terraformed, then I mean it could be true. I mean, in a Pessimist, the core was basically just a computer, that an AI that kept all the data of all the people, the consciousness of all these people. Thus, I think with a Pessimist that the core of the planet is actually the sea chip, and the AI of the ship is actually still operating and still managing all this, because in Sidonia we knew that they lost contact with Aposimus. A ship went on, probably landed on some small planet, became the core of it all, and you see all this megastructure and whatnot. On this planet, it's probably not the core of this, and the ship is still circling around somehow around the planet in its orbit, and is working its way around basically. I mean, you see also in like recent episodes, also seen like I've seen up to episode 6, 7, and you also see these wall scrolls on the village of with Leela with also text on it. I have no clue if that means anything anyway, or that is from a sea ship that they took from. I mean, the last episode had nothing to do with it. It was just literally hiding in some ship and trying to not to be captured. But with the ship, I also saw that the Hulk on the outside was from iron. So where did they get the iron? From the sea ship? Did they use the sea ship for all these boats?
Yeah, it might be that all the metal in the world is derived from what they were able to reclaim from these from the ship. So I
Yeah.
mean, imagine if that is the case. There's no proof of where they came from. That'll be interesting. There would be like no way to say, yeah, look, we came from this thing. You know, like
Yeah,
that would be even more mythology. Even the
yeah,
old guy didn't even know he didn't know the origin of the tool that he gave him. You know,
yeah. The laser that he got, a really powerful laser, said one soldier when they used it on the lock, and the tree itself when they came down. So that's also a special tool that they used on the ship itself. And the sage they tried to find, that's just a bastard down story of probably the captain of the sea ship that came down, terraformed maybe the planet, and spread around humanity basically. I mean, I think the sea ship itself was like maybe interdimensional travel, like through a wormhole, came to a planet like Interstellar, and saw the planet and went to work. Like the AI from Blame, like from Taiwan Heavy Industries, that the AI still had that the AI had an error, wanted to explore the rest of the universe and try to teleport itself in outside of the megastructure, but it doesn't know how big the megastructure is, so it transported itself into the megastructure, parts of it exploded, and that was the way of industries basically. So I think it's something like that, like transporting from one point to the other, getting to the planet, and then going at it. And same with Aposmus. That's just the eye from the core planet, basically. Terraformed the whole thing, basically, around the ship. Or maybe the ship itself became the planet. It's also a thing that could also be done. And just, I don't know what happened in there, but yeah. Or something like in Biomega, that the whole planet literally got terraformed into this giant tube and just got worked around with it. That's also an interesting idea. I don't know. I don't know how it all
well,
fits
I,
together yet.
I was thinking like, why would it like that is not how the uh how the runaway AI built stuff on Earth. There's like a totally new thing, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
So like that is why I was thinking that the planet is probably like a natural thing
yeah.
that
The planet
or at
in
least
thing is probably just natural and just changed it for some reason. But I don't know why would it terraform itself to be planets and a canopy and all these things. I don't know what the purpose for that terraforming them was, or why they wanted to send to it, or it was just maybe it was a crash landing and they just wanted a planet, so they choose the planet that was closest to them, so they used that and got on the planet. I mean, that could also be an idea, like how they got to that. Hmm.
well do you want answers? Like that's the next thing. So sometimes I think about if we should even like let's say it's not answered. Let's say it's never answered.
Mm-hmm.
Like would that be because I think like a lot of stuff in Blam is never answered.
No,
A
no,
lot
and
of
that
stuff is
keeps the
just
magic going because it's never answered, so you can theorize it forever without getting ever an answer. So the magic still keeps going, and you can just talk about it forever, basically, about how
yeah
all
like
these worlds work.
yeah like we are like constantly like for years like
Mm-hmm.
any some new strange thing
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
um But I do kind of. A lot of people think that the Opossums was kind of wrapped up too fast.
Yeah. Way too much rushed.
You know, because like I wonder how exactly that works. Because I get the idea that sometimes that happens because the series isn't selling as much, and so they're like, look,
Hmm.
you know, you only going to get a few more issues. You have to wrap this up. You
Yeah.
know, we're gonna cancel this book. Uh, uh, but I was wondering if that could happen to somebody like him who has kind of like a huge track record. Like I get a feeling like, you know, if I don't know, if Mira had wanted to write any other thing, they would have let him. You
Hmm.
know, just because of the strength of the name. But maybe Nihe is like he's popular among us, but maybe he's not as popular overall. You know,
Yeah,
to
no,
write
he's
whatever he
always
wants.
been this obscure mangaka, basically. I mean, since Sidonia, he's been more in the mainstream, and since the Blame movie, the Master Editions, he's been more into the mainstream. I mean, I know when I became out of Arsa Snatchery, I saw like there was like 1,000 members or like barely almost 2,500 or something. But when the movie dropped, suddenly, and the Master Edition, suddenly it went a bit faster, and now we're like 6,000. So yeah, it did something. I mean, not immediately because the movie is not the most popular thing ever, but it still got more traction. Now, before that, it was just staggering, and just nothing got published. And now we have. In English, we have now Noise back. Sknit is coming back soon. What more? Like, yeah, all these manga, all these different works of his are coming back some way or other. And still, I'm archiving still shit like Idol, for instance, and this new manga from 2011. It was a Gundam story that he wanted to do, but only did 3 pages. It's unnamed. I'm getting the thing in the mail like in a few weeks, and it also has some extra pages on character design and ideas he had for it. So that's also interesting to scan in and then put online and see what's in there. Somebody made pics of it back in the day, a few years ago, like in 2021 or something, but the pics are not the best, so you can't really make everything out of it. But it's still interesting, obviously. I mean, with All's works, it's like Biomac was also probably is also pretty rushed because everything is shoved in the bag basically just to get it uh, completely going, to get all his theories in and all the plot he still had left to shove it in. I mean, it was probably like as long as Blame probably it would have probably paced better and just that more space he would get. I mean, a bit more than he would get it now probably how to decipher all that.
But you think it's also partly him getting bored, you know, because especially with
Mm.
Opossums, when he had like all this track record, you know, he had
Yeah.
Sidonia and uh, he had Sidonia and Blam and
Mm.
Biomega under his belt. I was wondering if he was kind of getting tired, you know, of this particular story and kind of because I mean I think that could happen too. You know, I
Yeah,
get a feeling
that's
like
also.
some manga creators.
Yeah, I mean, with the Postmas, that's. I mean, he could have been bored at the end that he wanted to get the bell over and just get to more the explanation of the core and how that theory all works, like kind of like Soma, like I told before. I think he was more interested in the theories and more the explanation of how that all worked, and he didn't want to go to the effort to go through the effort of the whole battles and all the other stuff that was going on. He was just gonna get wrapped up and get to that bit. But also his publishers could be ironed by it because in Blame Gagwan Master Edition in the back there was a short that he was complaining about that they just wanted to have tits on the front of Shibo and Sanakam and just nothing else mattered. He had to work 3 years on the thing, and he hated it, and he just was forced to do it, and he just wanted to be done with it, basically. So it could also be possibly with that. I mean, it's also done by other mangaka that's just that the industry tells them to do this or that, and they didn't want to do it, and just are stuck with it basically. But yeah, I mean, it's a miracle that he even could write that. But the whole industry is like that. So like particularly two persons that think like that. So yeah, I guess that's how he got away with it. But we still have to see how the rest of the episode play out. I don't know how different the manga is though of Kaina. I mean, I've read like one chapter of it. I don't know how many there are like now, maybe 4 or 5 or something.
Yeah, I don't think there's I'm not sure how much is available, but last time I checked it was 5. I don't think there was much more than that. So now I think the anime has outpaced the what's available on the anime has outpaced what's available of the manga.
Yeah.
Last time, but I'm not too sure with that.
Yeah. I mean, I saw like the quality in the manga was like depleting. That was looked worse and worse, but it was like for like chapter 2 or 3 or something. I don't know how that was. No, but I probably will read the manga, but I'm not gonna probably. I'm probably not gonna buy the manga because the art is not even by NIE. I mean, sure, story is and design is by NIE, but I don't know. It's not really.
Yeah, which makes me wonder what it is he's doing, or if he just kind of relaxing.
Yeah. I mean, he's been doing manga since 1907, so he's been going at it for like 26 years at this point. So going the anime route is probably a bit more relaxing for him than just constantly getting a chapter out per week or per month or something. That's also a real toll on your body to do all that and your mind. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if all these projects are going to be anime. I hope not, because it's going to be just by one studio and nothing else. It's kind of one-sided. Also, the rendering of the anime is sometimes not good. Like it's stutters, like the FPS goes below. I mean, like the first episode, like you see Kaina just walking by was really stuttering sometimes, but it's not too bad, I guess. I mean, it could be a lot worse, but it doesn't look too bad. I mean, some of the sea creatures look really stagnant, look really like they just move kind of, but not really. I don't know what's up really with those creatures, if they're like natural, also created, bioengineered. I mean, the seals also look plenty different. Only humans are like the normal thing in there, and there's nobody that's really like immortal or anything, or just anything special like that. I mean, there's only alluded to giant in a story or something that he must lurk around. And you see him also in the opening, so I don't know how that ties into anything.
It might be okay, maybe that is like the one kind of remnant of the class. He has like this one I guess one surviving ancient person. Because I don't know, we just have to keep on watching it. With him, it could go any direction.
Yeah.
The fact that I was wondering, like the fact that they greenlighted already and there's no manga to base it on. I was wondering if that means that he already had something of a normal ending. Because I have no idea that there's no I shouldn't say normal ending, but the fact that he has I don't know, maybe an ending that they would accept, or maybe they're just willing to, because of the name, kind of risk it. Let's just do this.
Yeah. I mean, it's its most safe work to date. Basically, there's nothing too weird about it, like blame, biomecha, and whatnot. So he can just so it's not a lot of creative freedom in there, so he can do a lot about it. I don't think it will end anything specially. Yeah, maybe with the giant will end, and has something to do with the light they see every time they're in some kind of trouble or need to have direction on where there is an exit or whatnot sometimes. So I don't know how that's work. And maybe it's some kind of eye, like an eye in the sky that just watches you and knows at any time where you are or what you're gonna do or where you're going or something like that. I think it's something like that in some kind of world in that, but who knows? Really?
I don't know. Well, I definitely want to see more though. Like, is there anything else that I would say is similar to this in terms of like the strangeness of the world? I would say the one thing that comes to mind is Made in Abyss, but there's
Yeah,
definitely a lot of
yeah.
fantasy there.
Yeah, kinda. I mean, yeah, kinda. Yeah, it's just exploring this world. They have no clue about it. Only a vanilla version of Made in Abyss. I mean, Made in Abyss is way more out there with its world and its creatures and its environments and its fucked up teams and whatnot. There's way more going on in there. It's way more interesting in the world. But yeah, I mean, there's literally an anime if you're an if and I mean, apart from us, nobody really knows about this anime or talks even about it. I mean, it's literally for us. Basically, it's for nobody else. It's really playable or anything. It's not gonna be on the level of Sidonia. Or Sidonia got really popular. That's like it's one work that really got popular. Apostomies is also not that popular. I mean, it's above Kaina for now. I mean, obviously, because it's just still airing. So yeah. So yeah, we'll see how
Well,
that's gonna
what
work out.
what would you say is like another anime that is similarly as alien as that, as some of the hate stuff?
Yeah. Well, there's kinda maybe Trigon or something. There's also Trigon is also literally sea chips that land on the planet, try to survive, and you try to figure out what the fuck happened to the whole planet or what happened to the humans and what's the whole story about it. I mean, it's kind of similar in that sense to a kind of story on this point. Anyway, yeah, I think Trigon is really similar to that, except the humor, obviously, and the rest of the story. And to blame, I think like Pale Cocoon is really close to it. It's also like in this giant mech structure, and people have and they're like archivists of human life and the earth and how all that was, and try to preserve images and text and info and videos, and try to also explore this world of how it was in this mecha structure that nobody knows about anymore about Earth. It's also a really interesting short to be watching. Or like manga like Bio Wolf, for instance. That's like on a really old story from the Middle Ages. But yeah.
Okay, that is interesting. I never heard of the Pale Cocoon one.
It's pretty interesting.
I'll have to check it out. I definitely think that like like there's sometimes like these niche things that are so influential that a lot of things that become mainstream were inspired by it. If that makes sense. Like there was, I don't know if you know, there was Ico on PS2. I don't know if you're familiar with that game.
Yeah, Ico, yeah, I have that. Yeah, I have that. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So, and like I definitely like that specifically was cited as an inspiration when they were making Sands of Time. Prince of Persia, the Sands of Time reboot.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So like he has this like huge blockbuster game that was inspired by something that at the time nobody knew about.
Yeah.
I thought about so like I think Blam is like that, and Nihei in general, like there's I mean you look at Signalis, everybody knows about Signalis now, right?
But an inspiration for it was Blame in the end. I mean, like it's the same with Blame. Blame is inspired by also so many things: Alien, Matrix, different novels, whatnot. Really, it's like a Frankenstein of different works in itself. So that was also inspired, and it inspired a lot of other works like Girls Last Tour or different comics or manga or whatnot. It's really inspired by it, and even games like Signals that's really popular now. Like I was inspired by. Oh, blame me, I never heard of that. So Yeah, that's also really
Yeah,
interesting. Something like that.
yeah. So maybe these things will it'll get more popularity for Blam, second
Mm.
hand, like I was surprised that a lot of people seem to like Sidonia, and like well, I'm glad that it actually kind of make people get into his other stuff. I
Yeah,
haven't actually
yeah,
read the entire manga. I
yeah,
need
yeah,
to
yeah.
read it out.
Mm.
I think the animation in Sidonia is a little rough. It
Yeah, yeah. I
but
mean, in my opinion, he made obviously way too easy, obviously, for himself. But he wanted to make the story as easy as possible so that people really could get into it. Because before, nobody could get into his other works. And thanks to that, it got really popular, like with the harem stuff and the whole humor, the different romances and drama and whatnot. So people got way more interested. But it also had the lore, obviously, the whole backlash on how the Sidonia came to be and its crew and etc. 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 So yeah, it still works for both fans, really. I mean, it's still not my favorite work, but it still works, obviously. And the problem is, yeah, Fritz Arts is like the least detailed of it all, really. I mean, yeah, still has interesting panels, but could be better. But we both know that. Or like stuff
okay.
like
Well,
Mood. Mm?
I just saying, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I want to see well, his new series.
Mm.
Sidonia. I don't know. I probably need to read the manga. Is the manga like super close to the series?
Yeah, about. I mean, there's
Sidonia.
2 seasons made for it, and I like 1 or 2 years ago, the movie came out as a third season to close the whole stuff, or close the whole season, to close it all. But then it's a bit of an original ending, they said, but I still have to see it, so I still have to make up for that. So yeah, it's pretty close to the manga, I would say. Obviously, parts are left out, but you know.
Yeah. I think I'll have to check out the continue to read the manga because I don't know,
Hmm.
like I think the stuff that he makes is it's supposed to be hand drawn. I mean, I know I always say that. I say that like every time. But I feel like I'm able to take it a little more. I could take it a little more seriously when it's drawn. No offense to the anime. I actually think that Kaina is probably the best looking of them. Also, I think
Yeah,
it
I
has like a
mean,
lot of hand drawn.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it still has to go through the whole evolution to get to upgrade itself constantly and just get better. I mean, it's like the only studio that really near works with all his works, basically. So yeah, I mean, it looks a lot different from Sidonia till now. I mean, with Blame too, it looks a lot different. So it's still in its early stages to get its real ground to make something else. I mean, it's like with Orange with Dragon, for instance, looks a lot better than most CGI anime for now. Like with what's another one called? Or I don't know anymore. But also by Orange, like these gems that are in a different world and have to fend off. Well, you know what I mean. But with Dragon, it's also its whole original plot completely because it's way more story driven this time than comedy driven, and it's just.
Ah,
Hmm?
okay, because like that also like is one I want to read the manga of to kind of get more of the backstory when
Yeah,
well just the more of the backstory about like because the original anime is a classic, but I think they only adapted like a tiny portion, right?
yeah. The manga was still not finished when they made the animated, so there's also a lot of filler. So it works mostly on its own, basically. Like this anime, for instance, that's also like completely redone, but still with original characters and plot points and whatnot. But Miri is like scrapped from this anime and changed with an older man, which I still don't give a shit about because he hasn't done anything in the damn anime to make you feel anything. I think with the latest episode, there's probably coming more out with the history with these two. There's probably gonna be a point that you're gonna care about them, but with Miri, you cared about her from the beginning. You found her charming or cute or interesting or funny or whatnot. There was something going on. And probably when you're done with this series with the old man, you're probably gonna care more about him and interested more in him and why the way he is like this, but still, it's probably gonna be less than Miri in the original because it's just, he just doesn't give a shit about anything. It's just so.
I'm not sure why. Like why you think they changed it? I don't know. They think like the two characters are too similar, or
yeah, maybe it's because of the Japanese fans. There's a lot of anime get a character out because the Japanese fandom doesn't want it anymore, or the other, or both. So they changed it. Well, the rest of the world thinks a whole lot different about the character, so they can change from the West or another country or something. So I think it's like that. Maybe just the Japanese fandom just wanted her out, or the fan or whatnot. I think it's something like that, and not really us. That they thought she was annoying or just keeping the plot up, or was not really for any reason there, because she was not really that important, but she was fun to watch. So yeah, I think something like that.
Okay, well, I saw that there were actually some hand-drawn parts in the new series though. I saw somebody share it on Twitter, and like I had no idea there would be anything hand-drawn in it. Which I'm glad to see it.
There's some shots in there that was hand-drawn. Like, some background stuff was hand-drawn, and like the last panels that the original author has made for the anime, like a last shot at a with like Fash to his back to the audience, and then the background is like 2D, and the rest is like there's some like some shots that are like 2D, but majority is just 3D, like all the characters, all the things. But I mean, it's a lot more depressing, I would say, but still has some cute moments, like in the latest episodes, that you think that or reporters are being captured by these bandits, but they're actually just taking photos of them and making them famous and tal, and that's the whole joke of that. So I thought, oh no, they're captured and they're gonna be real difficult. But no, there was just a bit of fun. And then his old friend got killed. Or, well, it's probably gonna be revived because they need the body or something like that. It's like, yeah. A lot of fucked up shit you see with the kids when they literally just buy drugs for just grown in like a few days and just, it's like pretty fucked up altogether.
Oh, so this is stuff that was happening on the ship. Like,
well, with the kids was like in a laboratory, but Gun Hun Ho by Knives was this all set up in the anime. Basically, they're just experimenting on kids to make him warriors for them to go after Fash and to kill humanity. That's the whole shebang of that. Okay. And the sea chips were like in episode 1 crashed thanks to Knives. And obviously, Fash's mother got killed, basically. And what was her name again? The Flash was really important too. Well, I don't remember anymore, but you know what I mean. But I think we ended here.
Okay.
It's been over 2 hours now. What?
Okay. No, I just saying it. Well, I think I'll check it out, but I should probably read the manga first.
Yeah. I mean, you probably should. It's also pretty good. I mean, some panels are not that easily to see what's going on in them, but that's still a fun story. But yeah, sure. Well, then it was our podcast. Yeah.
No, I just saying here. That's like a with some manga. I think there's a problem. I think even with Attack on Titan, there's like a huge manga, but sometimes I can't quite tell what's going on in every panel.
Yeah. Some manga have that problem that it's just are kind of too convoluted in some places, and you have no clue what form it's making or what we're gonna do for it. But it's just if you could revisit the manga and fix things, that would be great. But yeah, once it's published, it's kind of done. So yeah, and the next season is gonna be 2 long shorts. So yeah, it's gonna wrap up the whole thing, and I'm just gonna wait for like 2 seasons and 2 more seasons because I'm kind of done with that story at this point. But oh well. Okay, well, this was the podcast, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Okay, next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.